When you think of the most important person in your life, who do you think of? It could be your mom, your dad, your grandma, your grandpa, an aunt or an uncle, or maybe even a professor or a friend or a coworker who has had great impact on your life. For me, I think of my mom. My mom was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease almost 15 years ago, and, and then in 2018, she went to stage 4 kidney failure. She had 3 failed fistula surgeries that would prevent her from receiving the traditional dialysis. After 2 years on the transplant list, putting us now in 2020, she finally received her perfect match. Now, almost 2 months later, she is feeling the best she's ever had with a perfect match kidney and is back to work doing what she loves. I've done a lot of research on this topic, as well as have had lots of personal experience. This disease runs very heavily in my family, so I've been through it a couple times. I was able to find a couple pros and cons articles that go hand in hand with my topic of, are there better ways that organ donation can be allocated to those in need? Article 1 states that according to the National Kidney Foundation, the process is lengthy, involving extensive blood testing that determines ABO compatibility, tissue typing, percent reactives, lots and lots of scans. They even go into account with the demographics, the lifestyle, as well as the family history. This process is very lengthy because it is very specific and very picky, as it should be. You don't want to get a kidney that might not be your perfect match because in a month, a year, a couple weeks, or even a couple days, your body could reject that kidney because it wasn't reacting correctly with your tissues, or the blood types were slightly off, or even the serums in your blood didn't match, which is why the National Kidney Foundation states that the process should be lengthy. It should require this amount of time, and it should require that amount of testing so that, each life is saved and each kidney is specific to each person. Article 2 is a personal story and a personal experience. Annabelle Fairman worked with her coworker for 10 plus years. He had the same diagnosis that my mom did, and he went to kidney failure, but he was on dialysis. After a 16-month process, she realized that she was a perfect match. Annabelle's story goes through the amount of testing that was required, as well as the amount of time that it took for them to become the perfect match. She states that 16 months was the time frame. She went under a lot of testing, including echocardiograms, stress testing, lots of x-rays, ultrasounds, tomography scans that determine, the size of the kidney and if it would even fit in her coworker's body, as well as filtration rates and the same type of blood tissue typing that was required, from the other article. The problem with the 16-month time frame, according to Annabelle, was that she was ready to give up. She was working the same type of job that he was, and was, frustrated with the amount of times that she had to go back and forth just to obtain all of these testings. 16 months went and gone, and she was ready to give up throughout the process. Had she not remembered that he needed her more than, she even realized, she might would have backed out and he could have lost that perfect match. And then, the time between the testing and then him receiving the kidney, a lot can happen in between then. And that was her frustration. She believed that the testing should not take that long. We also have to relate back to the ethics in persuasion with paired matching. There's the reliance on an intent criteria to define the persuasion, harmful unintended consequences that, could come from the surgeons or the nurses to pressure, let's say, Annabelle into donating that kidney despite the time frame. There's persuasion that takes place with the conscious awareness of the parties involved. That tends to be more ethical. Then we have the persuasive attempts that allows people to make their free choices where they're clearly ethical superior to those that do not. Annabelle stuck to her guns and didn't go with the persuasion of others because she wanted to do it out of the faint of her heart. But then you have the persuasion that takes place via the language or clearly, codified symbols. The ethics in persuasion and the ethics with kidney donation is a touchy topic that we will touch on more in the next persuasive presentation. But for now, I want you to think back to who is the most important person in your life. For mine was my mom. For you, it could be anyone else. But just think what you would do and what lengths you would go to give them a kidney or to save their life. That is what I want you to take with you. Thank you.